This woman is not who you think she is. She is a fake. Jasmine Crockett is not the girl from the hood. Jasmine Crockett is the girl from the upper middle class background who went to fancy schools, private schools, grew up in a stable household. Guess what? We've talked about this before, the importance of having two parents in the household. She had two working parents. One parent worked for the government, the postal service, her mom. The dad was a teacher, so education was really important, and a preacher, right? So education, family values, all those things that we talk about that she doesn't care about anymore. Suddenly, because I don't know, it's not popular. She wants to be on the other side of things, the girl from the hood. These are the things that actually go into having productive members of society. I'm sorry. I mean, I know that every marriage is not a panacea, and I'm not telling people that need to get divorced that there's no other way, but you certainly try, right? When you have kids. Well, she grew up the product of a stable household background, which is something that a lot of the kids in D.C., for example, that they're talking about right now, that Janine Pirro is putting on notice along with the President of the United States, and kids in the Dallas district that she represents didn't have. Has she done anything for the people of Dallas? The answer, no. And they would tell you this. In fact, Benny Johnson was just down there and saw that. They're like another YouTuber. They said that there is nothing that she is doing to help them. So I would just ask you, why the heck are you electing her? Well, maybe you won't have to elect her anymore because of what? The new redistricting. Anyway, this woman is phony as you know what. She's also, according to staff members, the boss from hell. So take a look at this. This came out in the New York Post. It's some kind of mutiny on the Democrat Party, right? They're really trying to take her down. You have 3 of the staffers coming out and telling the New York Post she's the boss from hell, that she cares more about doing her social media thing and being an influencer and maybe getting a gig in cable one day than she does about actually legislating, actually going to the office there on Capitol Hill. She doesn't do that. Instead, she stays in her, quote, luxury D.C. apartment while they complete all of her tasks and they drive her. She even has them doing her laundry. I mean, this is wild to me. Wild, absolutely insane. Like, why would you ever allow this? I thought this was really clever. My former colleague over at Fox, Jesse Waters, was talking about this recently. He called her the princess passenger because of the SUV thing. Take a listen to this one, guys.
But when the cameras are off, Crockett's real claws come out. Staffers say she bites harder than she barks. And the whole fighting for you act, one big cheap fake. She even works from home. Quote, she's laying around her apartment, won't come into the office, and is really just indifferent to staff and will scream at them. When Crockett actually shows up for work, she wants to be treated like Governor Hot Wheels. She hates using her legs. She demands her staff play chauffeur and drive from the Capitol to her office. It's only a few blocks. And the car can't be some cheap Subaru. It's got to be an Escalade. After that, the aide must, and this is important, stand outside the car and open the door like it's the Met Gala. Another aide says Crockett's obsessed with being the Black Sydney Sweeney. Quote, she's focused almost exclusively on being an influencer, not a member of Congress. Crockett's all diva, no wow. And Crockett might talk a big DEI game, but if you're black, you're the first to get the pink slip. Quote, I don't want to hear Jasmine Crockett talk about helping black women when she just fired one for no reason.
Wow. He's funny, right? You got to admit, I like the Subaru comment and a few others in there. But, she does put on a bit of an act in terms of the DEI stuff. But the staff is actually saying that she doesn't treat people that are also black fairly. And they've got like just complaint after complaint after complaint. I mean, this is something when your own staff is coming out against you, you must be a pretty horrible kind of boss, shall we say. Now, she's treating this like a badge of honor, for goodness sake. She just went on to CBS and she said, hey, you know what? Like, if they're not talking about you, then what's it worth? It must mean that I have reached some kind of status, some kind of power level, that they are out there complaining about me. And she's just kind of not likable. Can I say that? I mean, she just comes across as not a likable person. So it leaves you, when you hear this, saying, yeah, I have no doubt. I mean, she just doesn't seem like there's much in the way of any kind of empathy in there. She doesn't seem like she is a kind person at all. So the boss from hell kind of label, I think that that's going to stick for a while. Now she'll say this is just, poor me, woe me. I'm a black woman. I'm young, this, that, and the other. And therefore they're going to attack me in this way. But I don't think so. I really don't think so. I don't think this has anything to do with being black. I don't think it has anything to do with being young. And I don't think it has anything to do with being a woman. You know what? I haven't actually heard this about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I haven't heard the bad boss stuff, which is kind of interesting because you hear a lot about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but you don't hear the bad boss thing. And I think there's a reason for that, right? Maybe, there's a lot to fault her, including somehow paying, sketchy payments to salsa dance teachers instead of actually using her constituents' money in the right ways. I mean, that's a whole other thing. And not to mention the other situation with the tax the rich dress that she somehow didn't realize she should ever pay for. I mean, she may just be stupid, right? Jasmine Crockett is a little bit stupid as well. Donald Trump keeps insulting her IQ, and I suspect there's a bit of a reason for that. But again, I'm looking for this soundbite because if I can show you this, I think it's worth seeing with her there on CBS where she spoke to the reporter saying, oh, well, this is just par for the course. They're coming after me now because I have made it, et cetera, et cetera. And I think people even see that and say, again, there's no sort of humanity. Why didn't she show some humility? Maybe she's just not capable of it. While I look for that, I also want to show you, here is Jasmine Crockett on CNN trying to say, you know what? This is all about race. Take a look at this one, guys, because I know it's going to make your blood boil over. Watch.
And so I want people to see him and understand who he is. This is a person that has a problem with people of color, period. I don't care how many black MAGA out there with their hats. I want to be clear, when we look at who it is that he's kicking out of this country as people of color, when we look at who he always disrespects and says that they are low IQ, even though when you look at his cabinet, this has to be the most incompetent cabinet we have ever had in the history of this country. When we're talking about people that literally have the ability to drop bombs or order that bombs be dropped or make recommendations that bombs be dropped, and they literally don't know how to get the signal chat right. So we're talking about low IQ individuals, but so long as they say that this guy is their guy, and usually if they work for a certain news network, that's the only qualification that's necessary. I've got news for the president. I am not going anywhere. No matter how many squiggly lines they draw in the state of Texas, I will be back and I will be on his behind and making sure the real accountability that the American people are demanding, whether they're Democrats, Republicans, or independents, that it is had when the Democrats take control of this House in the midterms.
Congressman. Do you really think the Democrats are going to take control of the House in the midterms? I can tell you it's important that they don't, but I can also tell you I really don't think it's going to happen because guess what? Donald Trump is seeing all kinds of success on the economic front, on the immigration front. You just look at the poll numbers and he's outperforming anyone. You look at the Democrats' poll numbers, for goodness sakes. I mean, you've never seen. I'll quote CNN on this one. They're in the basement. Right, they are absolutely in the basement. The Democrat brand at this point has become garbage. Absolutely garbage. And so where does this head? I think it heads towards Jasmine Crockett losing her gig, and it's going to be for good reason. Again, this is not a nice person we're talking about. There's a story that came out of the Atlantic this past week, and it kind of struck me because it was like this puff piece, right? But then all of a sudden, if you read the first sentence in the thing, it says, all the comforts of a Waldorf Astoria City View suite did not, at that moment, seem to cheer Jasmine Crockett. That's the opening line on this story. The 44-year-old Texas Democrat, known for her viral comebacks, was frowning as she walked into the hotel room in Atlanta last month. Okay, so she's got this Waldorf Astoria suite, a City View suite that she's staying in, but she's mad because, she didn't get the chairmanship of the House thing that she wanted. She didn't get to the committee that she wanted. So she's freaking out. I would just say this idea that she's somehow a fighter is very misleading. She is a social media influencer who will take the opportunity at various times to come out with some biting comments. But is there any substance behind it? I think the short answer and the long answer in this case is no. If you read through this piece, they kind of hint at that. They say that, look, she's always on MSNBC, and so she's known to MSNBC watching households, of which, let's be honest, there are very, very few right now. And then the president also has elevated her in a certain way, calling her low IQ. She has taken aim, as we've discussed, at Marjorie Taylor Greene with her bleach blonde, that's what it is, bad built butch body, and then trademarked the phrase, which she now calls B6, and then sold some t-shirts, of course. So the Democrat Party doesn't love her, but they're actually oddly willing to put up with her. Not oddly, I mean, of course they would. Of course they would. Governor Hot Wheels, she's the one that coined that one, right? A really kind of disrespectful term for somebody who is the governor of Texas. And so she's just one thing after another. I would just say that they've got a situation on their hands and that you're elevating people that you really shouldn't be elevating. Absolutely not. Thank you so much for the generosity, guys. We have a few of these super chats in here, and I didn't get a chance to thank you all yesterday, but just looking at Tom's wild and wonderful views. Thank you so much. Keep up the great work. I definitely will. You know that I'm always with you guys, no matter where I am, as long as I can be here, as long as I can get a signal. And right now I'm relying on Elon Musk and Starlink from a boat. All right. So if the signal goes down, you know who to blame. Anyway, I always try and be here no matter what, because this news cycle is insane. It's so rapid, and we need to stay on top of it. We really are on the front lines of history in so many ways right now. So you get the Jasmine Crockett thing going down, all the Democrats freaking out. Listen, I would just say that this is the right time to actually be looking opportunistically for these things that you can do. I mean, they have taken every chance they can, right, to do exactly the same. And so why wouldn't you do this? Seriously, why wouldn't you do it? I think it makes all the sense in the world. Let me share with you a soundbite from Tomi Lahren, who actually echoes this as well from Fox the other day. I think she lays it out properly, because this is an important time and we need to make use of what we have in this given moment. They do the same. Don't kid yourself.
First of all, the Democrat Party has been reduced to essentially a social media stunt at this point. That's the only way they can get any attention. It's not through legislation. It's not through ideas or policy. It's through stunts, whether it's getting arrested at a press conference or outside of an ICE facility or skipping work to go to Illinois. Also, the hypocrisy here for Democrats now to clutch their pearls when Republicans play the same way that they've been playing is really rich. Please spare me. Also incredibly hypocritical. Democrats had no problem for a 4-year span of time importing millions and millions of people into blue sanctuary states and cities to pad their numbers, to pad the census. But now they want to cry wolf and they want to cry crocodile tears because Republicans want to draw new maps in Texas. Democrats would do it every single time. They don't like it that Republicans are playing the same game. We learned from you. We're going to be cutthroat like Democrats, and we're going to win where we can.
Yeah, what I see is,
again, I think it's the right time, the right moment to take advantage, because you need to be able to fight back, right? Fight fire with fire, if you would. And so I think that Tomi did a pretty good job articulating that. Just again, back to Jasmine, because she is not who she says she is. No matter how many times she tells you that she's somehow the girl from the hood and that she, wants to run the potty mouth and this, that, and the other and coin these little social media phrases, I think it's just important to remember that she came from Missouri, where she grew up in a stable household and went to fancy schmancy private schools, not public schools, okay? Private schools. So she had a lot of advantages. We're talking schools that cost $25,000 to $30,000. I think I said $50,000 the other day because, I live in New England where all the private schools are somewhere around 50. But she, Missouri, it's somewhere around 30 something. And then she went to University of Maryland as an undergrad, and she was out of state tuition. So again, pretty expensive. And then on to Denton Law School, where again, you're looking at 50, 60K a year. So she's had a lot of advantages, but to act the way she does, it's all, importantly, remember that key word, an act.